A very warm welcome to Dr. Mani Madhukar, sir.
Hi, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Welcome for this session. Thanks for
Thank you.
accepting the invitation. And participants, as you have also already attended one session by Dr. Mani Madhukar, sir, in continuation to that, he'll be taking today's session as per the scheduled time. So I hand over the session to Dr. Mani Madhukar, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Hi. Good afternoon, everybody. And I really hope that you had a great 5, 6 days of learning. Across from different people from different segments of technology. So we are already familiar with each other, right? In case you would have been there as a part of the first session. Um, and Today, the focus of the session is, that I have is primarily, we'll do some hands-on, but that only depends whether you have done some installation and all. So before I go further, guys, I will actually request you to, please put it on chat. All those who have actually installed Watson Desktop Studio on your local machines. So just put a yes on the chat in case you have, installed the software there, which I intend to use for the session today. Okay. Guys, just put on the chat that, in case you have done it, just put it a yes. In case you haven't done it, say a no. Okay. Because today's session is aimed at doing some hands-on with you. So depending upon if you have installed, I'll be able to do a hands-on. If not, I'll have to take some other approach of having a discussion. So you're going to set the agenda for today. It's up to you. Can I get some yes or no? Okay, I get at least one no. What else about REST? Has anybody installed it? Has anybody registered on AI portal?
I think, sir, maximum people are not able to do that, I suppose.
Okay. Um, can anybody put the challenge that they faced, why they were not able to do it, something wrong, some process they were not able to understand, or any other issue?
As per my case, sir, I was trying, so it was not taking my mail ID from SSGI domain. So I was
Hmm.
trying to register, so it was not
Okay.
taking that mail ID. And I think
Yeah,
that
ma'am.
third link you have provided through that, it is possible to get registered.
Ma'am, I only received one request from Babita, madam, for getting an access, and which I have got approved. She is from BIT Durg. As far as SSGI and SSTC are concerned, I got a request only yesterday. And yesterday was a Thanksgiving in US, so the backend team was not working.
Okay.
So yeah, they will only be able to get it next week. But for other people, who are having their mail IDs registered and who are having their colleges registered, they should have been able to do it. All right. Anyways, just in case you're not able to do it, guys, you can do it even after this session. Idea is you should be able to do it because that's a wonderful tool to have. And so I'll quickly, go back and I'll give you a recap of what I was actually wanting you to do. Mm, okay. So I was on my on this academic initiative portal the other day, and I was telling you that you can find content across various 8, 9 technology areas. Okay, and since we were talking about machine learning, data science, so I told you that under the data science tab, you can actually get access to one was the data set repository, which was this, where you can download a lot of data sets. And other was this software tab where you can download iLog, SPSS Modeler, Cognos Analytics. And I wanted you to download Watson Desktop, Watson Studio Desktop Edition. Um, Let me just try to show you, after you log in, what happens. So let me just log in. I'm not sure if you have seen that the other day. Even if you're not wanting to use this particular tool for this session, you will find a lot of tools available for other technologies, other relevant technologies as well. So you should really be leveraging this web portal for doing a lot of other things that you can with it. So if you see, once I'm signed in and I'm on the data science tab, particularly on the software tab, I'm there. You can see I get a download option there, right? See the download option. Similarly, in case I am running a Mac machine, I have a download for Mac also. And if I'm running a Windows machine, I have a download for Windows also. Those of you who are running a Linux-based system, they can download a Mac OS-based version, right? Which can be really handy. See, Linux x86, Windows version, you have it all. Not just that, you also have various demos and hands-on lab, which is like easy to follow. So even without anybody's help, you can yourself do it. That's the good part of it, right? Um, so those of you who are not able to do it right now, because today's session we wanted you to have some hands-on, but since that is not happening right now, I'm just sort of giving you a brief about what is available here. Similarly, there are badges around here, which I also showed you last time, but let me just click on one of these links. Let's see. Yeah, so depending upon what sort of learning level do you have, let's say I have a foundations, very basic learning understanding I have. So once I actually, complete this learning, which is nothing but a few videos to show, videos to watch, and maybe a 3-4 questions short quiz to answer. If I do that, it's a self-paced, see, anytime self-paced course, 3 hours, right? It's a beginner level course. And all you have to do is, you basically learn all this. This is the various modules. What is regression? How do you actually find the right application for data science? How do you prepare the data? And this can be taken as many point time as possible. Once you complete this, right, you basically get a badge. This is the badge that you get. This is the badge that you get, which you can use. Right, same is for even other courses that are there, right? So depending upon what sort of level that you are, this is the batch for Python, using Python for data science, right? Again, it's self-paced, and what you can really do is you can do it on your own. It's again 3 hours, self-paced, beginner level course. What you will learn is basically how to do things in Python, basic, very basic understanding. And how do you work with pandas, how do you load data sets with pandas, and all of that stuff here. And as I said, everything which is available on academic initiative is absolutely free. There is no charges for that. And once you do it, this is the batch that you actually obtain, which you can use on your resumes and your social media handles or whatever. Anyways, from a faculty's point of view, I don't think the something better than this is available, which is the data set repository, right? So let me quickly click on this as well, just to give you what all do you get. Okay, so there are various data sets available under CDLA, and right now there are 27 data sets across audio, language modeling, time series, speech, image, and many more. Each data set basically has an overview of the description. It has a metadata and a citation as well, right? So you can actually access all of that, and you have a brief of the data set also given over here, right? Right from weather to various images to something around audio. There you've got various types of data sets which are available, and you don't have to do anything. Oh, it's a clean data which is available. All that you will do is you can quickly use the same data set in your project. You have the entire steps mentioned here, how you can use that data set, how do you actually import the data set on IBM Cloud, how the data is stored in object storage. All of those are actually mentioned over here. So that's why I thought, once you would have installed it, I would have made you do this particular bit where you have, imported a data set, done some analytics on top of your data sets and all. But unfortunately, since we did not have the installation here, so we'll not be able to get into this part of it. Okay, I'll again take a pause here. Any questions so far? Anything that you would like to ask that may not have been clear earlier and you want to check it out now? Any queries, guys? Hmm. Anybody would like to ask anything? No?
Like, sir, I wanted to ask, cognitive class is there is no limit, no, for completion of the. Yes, yes,
No,
there
there
is.
is no limit, ma'am. But ideally, you should actually go through this website, the Academic Initiative portal. That way, it really helps you in, in creating sort of a profile for you. So as a learner, when you have multiple badges obtained, it also helps creating your profile. You see here a career option also there.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
even people can actually use these learnings to explore careers with IBM.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
so that's like a benefit that people get over here.
Thank
Okay, if there are no more questions, then let me get it started. What I wanted to. Mm, okay, so this is where we are. I'll skip these slides because we already discussed about these last time. We talk about auto AI today, particularly how AI is basically utilized across different industry segments. So these are a couple of use cases which are already in production across different countries, right? For example, in Japan, the Mizuho Bank is basically using, auto AI for risk and fraud analysis, for doing a fraud management. That's what they're using it for. Then Morgan Stanley is doing it for customer analytics, right? And again, they're also doubling it for customer marketing there. So multiple organizations are using, AI or analytics or combination of AI data science in multiple ways, right? If you see around AI, you'll find in almost all histories of right from a smartphone to the maps that we use to the voice-based assistants, Alexas of the world, and all. Even your car today has actually AI embedded into it. So a lot of devices, a lot of the way we are living these days actually has AI enabled into it, right? But let's come and try to understand about, because you're all researchers, right? That's where it's really important for you to understand the data, create a model from that data, and then deploy that particular model for others to consume. So typically, when we get into development and deployment of model, the first thing that we do is we identify the data set. That's why I keep on harping that this is a place where you get the data sets. Second thing is, once you have the data set, the second thing that you would do is you basically will find the appropriate algorithm that you would like to implement the data set with, to create a model. Once you have a model, then you basically sort of test the model. And once you have tested the model thoroughly, that how is the model performing, with that, with the training data, test data, and all that. Then you are really sort of in a final groove where you say, yes, my model is now ready for deployment, right? And once you deploy that, that's where you actually really realize that there's still very short lot of shortcomings in the deployed model, right? And that is something which is really very disheartening for a researcher, because the entire effort of months maybe actually goes down the drain. And what he basically has to come back and start all over again, right from the very scratch, where he again goes back looking for a data set, or maybe cleaning the data, or maybe finding the right parameters in the data set that he would actually like to play with. And again, a new hunt for the appropriate algorithm or choice of the way he wants to do, maybe some different ensembling technique on top of it, whatever, right? So again, the entire vicious circle starts. This is where what auto AI that I was giving you a demo last time really comes and kicks in, right? We discussed this earlier as well, I guess, right, wherein the entire today everything is very speeded up, right? Everything is quick. Typically, AI lifecycle management is also getting towards, people are looking to complete it quickly, right? Something which normally takes 2 to 12 months, people are trying to, squeeze those timelines, right? Other thing is the number of, the people who are adopting to data science is growing big time. However, there is a lacuna there. The sort of effort or the sort of domain knowledge, a type of knowledges are which are required to become a data scientist versus what a data scientist really knows. That's what we call them, citizen data scientists, right? There is a lot of gap there. So for a data scientist, one should be knowing about is statistics, machine learning, a lot of the stuff there, right? But then in practicality, we may have one skill. I may be good with mathematics, but then I may not be good with maybe algorithms or maybe machine learning algorithms particularly, or maybe for that matter systems, right? IT systems of it. So that's where you really have to need a lot of types of skills there. And hence empowering those people, empowering those data scientists is really a very key here in order for AI to scale. Third is enhancing, right? Because once the model is put to use, obviously it starts degrading in certain time, right? Then you have to go back to the drawing table and you have to again, start working afresh with the model. So typically, five reasons why auto AI really makes a lot of sense. One, it helps you in speeding the model selection, because almost 80% of the people spend their time on the data cleaning, data wrangling, all that data analysis, the first phase of it, where you have data cleaning and all that stuff done, right? So almost 80% of the time, productive time gets into there. So that's where if you are able to, or if a service is able to help you with I know selecting a certain model which really reduces the overall search time for you, right? So that's the first reason. Second, it really helps in bridging those skills gap, right? Because you cannot be knowing everything. As I said earlier, there are a lot of skills required, even in organizations, companies. Not all companies have all the people skilled in certain area, right? So that's where auto AI sort of a technology or a service really helps in bridging that gap there, right? It increases repeatability and really helps in minimizing overall human intervention. Third thing is it also helps in boosting the productivity, right? As you saw the other day, within a few moments, a few minutes, I was able to get some experiments running and get some outcomes without even have to code. So that's something which is really important, because not every researcher can code, right? And hence auto AI can really be a handy service there. Okay. Another good reason for implementation of auto AI is because today we talk about explainability in AI. AI is no more the same AI it was there, 4 years, 3 years down the lane. Today we talk about transparency in AI-based systems, right? Explainability in AI-based systems. So that's where auto AI provides for a component called IBM Watson OpenScale, which provides for explainability and debiasing of the system, right? And of course, the regulatory constraints that the companies have to adhere to because of the regulators and all, that also are a bigger barrier in terms of implementing AI. So the moment you have trust, transparency on all enabled, it really is very easy to adopt to that AI based system. And if you remember last time I gave you an example of the US payroll system that they would had some time back, right? This is another reason why auto AI is can be really handy. We all saw that one-click deployment model using Watson machine learning and all. Okay, so typically the auto AI, if you talk about the AI lifecycle management, it automates one, the data preparation, two, model development, three, feature engineering, four, hyperparameter optimization. I guess all of you who are into machine learning will appreciate that this is something which takes most part of researchers' effort. Okay, if that is being automated, then the life really becomes a lot more smoother and easy. Okay. um I'll just skip a few slides. Please do not bother. In case you have a specific question, you can hold me and you can ask me there. So what we are talking about is we're talking about AI for AI, right? Automation of AI development with cloud pack for data. We discussed what is cloud pack for data last time as well. So what we are saying is AI is used to design AI. AI is used to optimize AI processes, and AI is governing AI processes, right? So far, we only talked about one level of AI, implementing artificial intelligence systems. But no, we are talking about using AI for designing AI, right? So that's another layer, one layer at top of that, right? Which basically is governing all these underlying designing, optimizing, and governing, which we can enable using our auto AI service. This is basically typical AI workflow and how much effort a particular stage takes. We discussed that as well earlier. This has been adopted from Kaggle. a survey there, which basically talks about, right, how much effort is required in terms of that, whether you talk about cleaning data or gathering data or model building. If you see, the yellow one, the yellow bar is smallest one, wherein you are putting the model into production. So the entire effort, if you see the gray, green, blue, and light blue bars, they consume the maximum of amount of effort, right? What it is all about is data wrangling, right? But when you see the overall model deployment or putting the model into production, that's where is the yellow one, which is almost least of all the efforts that you talk about. And even after you get the insights from this model, the operationalization of these insights is another thing which is even not that bigger. If you see the second last bar, the light gray bar, and towards the right of it, which is again, even lesser, right, compared to all the effort that you put. So this is really important for you to understand how much more you can automate, so that the overall effort for you really, reduces. This is like, what all steps are there. You label the raw data set. This is all the service does. We don't do it, by the way, right? The service basically finds the best pre-processing, imputation, encoding, and scaling technologies. Then it finds the basically top estimators there, and based upon that, the model selection is does a hyperparameter optimization on the selected estimator that it has identifies. Once it has done that, the second approach is, it basically does a hyperparameter optimization, and then it does a optimized feature engineering to basically create those model pipeline, the ranking between those model pipelines. Okay. And once the system has been able to identify, okay, this is the best algorithm for me, after certain hyperparameter optimization, feature engineering, and all that, it basically saves and deploys that model, right? So this is what typically the cycle, and this is the architectural diagram for that. So if you remember again, when I was giving you the demo, I said the data set that you pull in is basically stored in the object storage. That's basically there, right? What we are leveraging is a Watson Studio service on IBM Cloud, which is talking to an object storage and an auto AI service. An auto AI service underlying uses a Watson machine learning and Apache Spark, right? So these are the various components that come together in order to make the auto AI service, operational. And I just talked about this, right? These are the components that we use on IBM Cloud in case we would have done it. And okay, so let me just try and see there. And we already talked about that, right? How much time people spend in this. Let me take a break here, and let me try and come back and ask, are there any questions about whatever we discussed so far? Any questions so far, guys? No? Okay. Okay. Does anybody has an account on IBM Cloud, guys? Can you just put that on chat? If you have an account, I can handhold you, through creating this or doing some exercise together. Anybody has an account on IBM Cloud? Can you just put a yes or a no on a chat?
Participants, you may write down in the chat box or you may unmute yourself.
Okay. Well, okay, in case you haven't, then let me just, we are not using AWS services here, Parajita, so okay, let me just go back to my slides then, I guess, right? That's the only approach we can do it. So typically as a researcher, guys, when you try and identify the right classification model, then these are the 30 classification models which are actually embedded, into auto AI service. Now, even if you try doing it manually, you may not be able to actually run your data set across all 30 of them, right? Right from ADA boost to logistic regression to ISDD or maybe a support vector or a random forest or an LCP or whatever, right? Similarly, when you talk about regression, right, there are almost like 44 of them which are embedded here, including ARD, ElasticNet, or ADA Boost, all of them there, right? So as a researcher, you are at liberty to decide which ones of them you want to use it, for your own model. If you remember the demo that I had given you the other day, I was able to sort of let me just search the service. I'm looking for a Watson Studio instance. Okay. So once I have this studio instance running, I'll just launch it. Okay. I am on a bit slower side of our internet connectivity, I guess. So otherwise, it is quite quick. Yeah. Now, if you see here at the top, this is the IBM Cloud Pak for data, right? This is what is having hosting all of these things together. Um, And if you see, these are the various services running for me in Watson Studio, right? I have a machine learning, that's Watson machine learning service running. I have a discovery service running. I have an analytics engine service running. I have all these services running under this, right? Similarly, I have all these projects running some or the other thing, as a part of this overall Watson Studio service. Now, let me just open one of those existing ones. Last time we did something, I guess, under this project, or I can create a new project right here. I can say I want to have a new project, and it is asking me whether you want to create a project from scratch or you have already a project and you want to load that project. I have some assets there, so I said no. I want to create an empty project here. Yeah. So see this, it automatically pulled my existing object storage service here. In case I would not have object storage service running, it will ask me to create an object storage first before I can go ahead and I can do something, right? So here I can also, add more people who can be working with me on the project. Okay, let me just go back and check what did I choose. Right, and let me just say create. What I wanted to explain to you is all the associated services which are there along with this uh, either are spun up, through your guidance when you guide them to do it, or so you don't have to bother if something is not. So, for example, if you're running it for the first time, you don't have to bother about various things, right? It takes care of all the associated services that it needs to run a particular, whatever you want to run on top of that, right? So this is the sort of a dashboard to work with. Here you have all these assets listed out, whatever you have, whether you are uploading a data store, a data set, or you are, integrating some deep learning experiment here, whatever. This will be the various environments that you'll be having created, for this. for any project particularly, right? These are the various default environments available. There is a Spark, Python. So Spark 2.4 and Python 3.7, it's the default environment. Then you have various versions of Python 3.6, and you have a addition of Spark with R as well, right? So you can have that as well. You even can have a default data stage, which has a one virtual CPU and 4 GB RAM environment created. See this? So there are various environments that you can pick and choose from here depending upon what you want to run. Okay. Yeah, so that's there. Then the various jobs that you are going to run on this, whether it's a notebook or a flow or whatever. Then there is a complete access control, right, where you can add various services. You can add multiple researchers who can work with you, who can contribute to the overall effort. You can add those collaborators over here. Yeah, that's just the name there, right? So what I can do is I can add, as I showed you last time also, I can add all these things over here, right? This is, I guess, new, right? When I can add a federated learning experiment to run on a remote training data. So remember, somebody was last time asking that I have let's say if I have a very huge data set, 20, 30, 40 GB data set, and I don't want to port it to the cloud, or I don't want to use one of these services. So there is this approach of using a federated learning experiment as well. And then I told you about the deep learning experiment, the way it is, right? Wherein you can have a various neural network model associated there, and then you can see it is asking where would you like to store your training data files, right? You can actually choose your object data storage buckets, right? Again, where would you want to like to have this? It is asking me right now that there is no Watson machine learning service instance associated with the project, right? Now, see this. If I have an existing one, it will open up in a new tab for me. And here I can associate or I can add my existing Watson machine learning. If not, then I can create a new instance of the service as well, right? So if you see there, these are my various Watson machine learning services already running there, right? Even other services running there, right? See this machine learning, JNTU, machine learning, PM20, machine learning, predictive modeling, ML. The rest are other services there, right? Natural language understanding, Watson assistant, discovery, tone analyzer, visual recognition, and all that, right? But what I'm looking for is a machine learning. So what I can do is I can quickly associate one of these services here, and that's it, right? I'll just say I'm done. I'll say associate the service. Okay, let me reload this page here. See, my Watson machine learning is reflecting over here. Okay, I can add some training definitions as well over here, the way I want this training to happen, right? This is another way of really, having your model building approach. What sort of GPU do I need to have? What's the execution command? What's the metadata and all that? I can add it over here. Okay, so this is the way I actually can add a deep learning experiment. Similarly, let me go back and say I want to add maybe something else over here this time. Okay, so I'll again click on add to project, and I can have a visual recognition model here, right? So it will basically add a visual recognition service from me, and then I can specify the data set that I want to train the model with, and all that it will take care of automatically, the underlying infrastructure needed for it. Last time I gave you an example of Auto AI, which I told you how easy it is to run. Similarly, you can have a notebook over here created and all that, right? This stuff is also possible. You can have a decision optimization experiment, somebody who is working on optimization problems. It uses a CPLEX engine underneath. If you remember, when I was showing you the data science tab there is the entire download available for iLog CPLEX Optimization Studio, right? This can be downloaded for both Windows and Linux, that way. Okay. So that's another thing that you have there. You can add up a natural language classifier as well, for classifying textual content, because a lot of you people do a research on text analytics as well. That's another approach to do that. So yeah, so these are the various types of things that you can add over here. Now, you can also launch a IDE, an RStudio IDE, right from inside this tool, right, in order to write your code that you want to write, right? So that way it leverages all the cloud services there. So it's asking you, what sort of environment, what's the runtime do you want? So this basically gives a default runtime of RStudio with 2 virtual CPUs and 8 GB RAM, right? So let me say launch. So, and I would now have a complete, full featured ID wherein I can use to leverage all the R libraries. I can do all the coding and programming using R from here. Um, okay, so let me go back to the, yeah, let's just let it load and I'll go back to my project there. If you have any questions, guys, so far, you can put it on a chat or you can unmute yourself and you can ask it. Any questions so far? Anything that you would like to ask, talk about? No? Okay. This is just opening up. In the meanwhile, I'll again go back to, yeah, any questions, guys?
Sir,
Okay,
Mr. Rajat Srivastava, I think, having an.
let me see, ma'am. There is nothing on chat, ma'am.
He's having an account on AWS, he's saying.
Oh, I've seen that. I've answered. We're looking for doing something on IBM Cloud right now. Um, okay, so if you see here, this is my console for doing my, for our studio. This is my terminal. If I would have any jobs, then those have been available here. So it gives you a complete environment for our studio, right? I can import data sets. I can do whatever the way I want. I work on, or I can do it over here. So let me go back to my project here. And yeah, let this load. I just want to actually taking you to the catalog. So this is the catalog, guys, that I was talking about, almost like 350 plus services across different categories. As I said, these are classified into multiple sections like compute, containers. I'm not sure if you guys use infrastructure for hosting your projects, but in case you do, you have a provision for doing a virtual server or even a auto scale high performance cluster. You can also provision from here. You can also do a bare metal from here, right? You can also host um, a VMware based solution over here, right? It depends upon your requirement. There are containers which are basically supported, on this cloud, which you can make use of Kubernetes. We have Red Hat OpenShift, right, which you can leverage on. There are various AI machine learning services. I basically told you the last time as well, right? We had some 19 services there. Let me come to this piece, right? Analytics you might be interested into, right? There is analytics engine. There is actually also a Cognos dashboard. So remember, I was showing you the Cognos analytics tool, which is completely downloadable. You have a MDM as well available over here, and then you have a streaming analytics for those of you who are working on IoT or streaming data. This is something which is for that. There are not just IBM service, there are some third-party services as well, which really helps in developing. So there is one on for building propensity models. Of course, blockchain is there. Then there are certain developer tools, logging and monitoring, migration, integration, security, and all those types of services there. All the services which has a light plan, guys, and which is, so they're all absolutely free, forever free. And in case you are signing up with a academic initiative ID, you can also convert your light plan into a trial plan. So your account actually is a lot more healthier for doing research work when you are using a promo code from the academic initiative site, right? So on academic initiative site here, when you go to the cloud tab, it offers you something called as a promo code, feature code, right? This feature code is something which converts your regular account with into a trial account, or light account into a trial account, which gives you almost like 8 GB of main memory to run your applications on IBM Cloud, right? Which is huge, in terms of infrastructure being offered on any cloud. So what I'll do is I'll take a pause now, and if there are any questions, then we are good. Otherwise, I'll like to wind up. Any questions that would like to ask me? Anything that you have to talk about? Any questions, folks, on the call? Can you help me with your research areas, guys? What are the typical research areas that you actually work on? You can just put it on the chat as well. I'm sure all of you are researchers here, right? Latika ma'am, it's back to you. Then I don't think we have any questions here.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the informative session.
Thank you, ma'am.
I think the participants, if they can reach you, how they can approach if they want.
Ma'am,
They
they can
have
all
you
reach to me on my LinkedIn. I'm available at the rate Money Madhukar. So you just have to look for me there, and they'll be able to get it.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for the informative session and accepting the invitation from our side. So,
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. I'll sign off. Thank you.
thank you, sir.